"Buy me, cowboy. I have experience and I can give you children," pleaded the Apache woman. The man they called Cole dragged his horse to a stop so hard the animal's hooves cut twin grooves into the dry Arizona dirt. 3 riders had him pinned between a rock shelf and a dry creek bed, and the one in the middle was leveling a Winchester straight at his chest. "Hand over the saddlebags," the middle rider said. His voice had the flat patience of a man who had done this before and did not expect trouble. Cole did not hand over the saddlebags. The saddlebags held $300 in payroll money for the Cattlemen's Association, and if he rode back to Prescott without it, he would never work another honest job west of the Mississippi. "You're making a mistake," Cole said. The rider squeezed the trigger. The shot went wide, not because the man missed, because a rope came out of nowhere from the left and yanked the rifle barrel sideways. The bullet went into the rock shelf and screamed off into the blue sky. Then everything happened at once. The rope pulled again, and the rifle hit the ground. Cole drew his Colt and put 2 rounds in the dirt between the riders' horses, and the animals reared and screamed and wanted no part of this. The 2 flanking riders lost their seats. The middle rider fought his horse in a circle, and by the time he had it under control, Cole had the muzzle 6 inches from his chin. "Ride," Cole said. They rode. He turned to find where the rope had come from. She was sitting on a small paint horse on top of the ridge to his left, the rope already coiled and resting across her saddle horn. Apache, he could see that immediately, her black hair loose, her clothing worn thin and mended in several places. She was watching him with the kind of steady calm that does not come from a comfortable life. "That was good timing," Cole said. "Yes," she said. She came down the ridge slowly. Up close he could see she had a bruise along her jaw that was 3 or 4 days old. Her horse was underfed. She was carrying nothing, not a bedroll, not a canteen, not a saddlebag of any kind. "You traveling?" Cole asked. "I was," she said. "My horse cannot go much farther." Cole looked at the paint. The animal's ribs showed. It had a loose shoe on the right front. She was right. It would not make another 10 miles. "Where are you headed?" She did not answer that. Instead, she looked at him with those still dark eyes and said something he was not expecting at all. "Buy me, cowboy. I have experience and I can give you children." Cole stared at her. A hawk circled overhead. The creek bed ran dry below them without making a sound. Somewhere far off, one of those 3 riders was still pushing his horse hard away from here. "That is not something I would buy," Cole said carefully. "Then what would you give me for saving your life?" Cole thought about that. "What do you need?" "A horse that can walk, food for 3 days, safe passage to the Verde River." "Where at the Verde River?" "There is a camp, my people." Cole looked at the paint again. Then he looked at the road ahead. It ran southeast, and the Verde was southeast, and he was not due in Prescott for 4 more days. "Your horse rides in front," he said. "We walk them both until we find water. When we camp, you camp on the other side of the fire. Those are the terms." She considered this like she was weighing something he could not see. "Those are acceptable terms," she said. Her name was Nara. She told him that an hour later, when they had found a thin trickle of water along a shaded cut in the rock and let both horses drink. She said it the way you say a word that you are not sure the other person will say correctly, like she was testing whether he would try. "Nara," Cole said. She nodded once. He had a strip of dried beef and half a bag of cornmeal in his saddlebag, and he split it evenly without being asked. She ate without hurry, watching the horses, not watching him. "Those men," Cole said, "they were after the payroll money, you knew that." "I saw them follow you from the last town. I followed them." "Why?" She looked at him then. "Because I needed a horse that could walk." That was honest, at least. They made 7 miles before dark. Cole picked a camp spot in a natural bowl out of the wind, with one way in and one way out and a clear line of sight in 3 directions. He had been doing this long enough that choosing a camp was like breathing. He did not think about it. Nara noticed. "You have been a soldier," she said. It was not a question. "Once," Cole said. "Against my people." He put wood on the small fire. Against a lot of people, none of it sat right. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "The men who follow me are not like those 3 today. They will not be scared off by shots in the dirt." Cole looked up from the fire. "How many?" he said. 4, maybe 5 by now. There was a man in Florence who sold me to a rancher north of there. I left. The rancher's men are behind me." Cole felt something cold settle in his chest that had nothing to do with the desert night. "How far back?" 2 days when I saw them last. I have been moving fast, but my horse," she stopped. The paint was standing with its head low and its bad leg cocked up. It was done. "Morning," Cole said. "We figure it out in the morning." Nara lay down on the far side of the fire and did not speak again. Cole sat up with his colt on his knee and watched the dark and thought about a rancher north of Florence, and what kind of man sends riders to chase down a woman across open desert, and what he was going to do about that when they caught up. Because they would catch up. He knew that the way you know whether before it arrives. The paint horse did not make it through the night. It was not a violent thing. Cole heard it go down sometime before dawn, a soft collapse with no struggle after. Nara was already awake. She sat beside the animal for a time with her hand on its neck, and Cole stayed across the fire and did not say anything, because there is nothing to say. When first light hit the rock walls, she stood up and said, "We move." Cole had been thinking about the problem since midnight. His horse, a strong-boned gray called Dutch, could carry double for a stretch on flat ground but would wear fast in heat. They were still 40 miles from the Verd. Carrying double the whole way would destroy Dutch and leave them both on foot in open country with riders behind them. "There is a settlement," Cole said. "Stock post 12 miles east. Man named Orvis runs it. He buys and trades horses." "Will he trade fairly with me?" Cole thought about the kind of man Orvis was, which was the kind of man who would do whatever made him money. "He will trade fairly if I am there." She picked up her rope from the dead horse's saddle. It was the only thing she took. "Then we go east first," she said. 12 miles east added 12 miles back, and 24 miles total added to what was already a long road, but Cole did not see a better option. He helped Nara up behind him on Dutch, and the gray snorted once but accepted it, and they rode east in the early flat light without speaking. Dutch was smooth-gaited, which was one of the reasons Cole had bought him. Even carrying double, he moved easily across the hardpack. Nara rode behind Cole without holding on, which told him she had been on horses her whole life. She balanced with the animal's movement the way a person does when riding is as natural as walking. 3 miles out, she said quietly, "Rider." Cole had already seen it. One rider, high on the ridge to the north, not moving, watching them. "Scout," Cole said. "Yes." "How long before the others know?" "He will signal. They could be moving within the hour." Cole touched Dutch with his heel and the horse picked up the pace. The stock post was 9 miles ahead. He ran the numbers and they did not feel good. "Can you shoot?" he asked. "Yes." "How well?" "Well enough," she said. It was not bravado. It was just a fact she was giving him, the same way she had said yes when he called her timing good. Cole was starting to understand that Nara did not use words to manage how people felt about her. She used them to tell the truth as she saw it. He handed her his second revolver, a short-barreled one he kept in his left saddlebag. She checked the cylinder without being shown how. The rider on the ridge was moving now, angling north and fast. 2 hours, Nara said. "Maybe less," Cole said and pushed Dutch harder. The stock post came into view after 40 minutes of hard riding, a cluster of low buildings and a split-rail corral with 8 or 9 horses milling inside. There was smoke from the chimney of the main building, and a man standing outside watching them come. Orvis was a thick man who wore his hat tilted forward and squinted at the world from underneath. It like the sun had been personally offensive to him for 30 years. "Cole," he said when they pulled up. "Orvis," Cole stepped down and helped Nara down. "I need a horse, trail fit, good lung, something that can cover ground." Orvis looked at Nara, then he looked at Cole. "She buying or you buying?" "I am," Cole said. "What have you got?" Orvis had a dark brown mare, 4 years old, 16 hands, with the kind of deep chest that means breathing room at a gallop. Her name, according to Orvis, was June, though she ignored it completely when he said it. 200, Orvis said. "I have 80, and a dead paint at the Apache camp 2 hours south." "The paint is dead." "Still has good tack, saddle's almost new." Orvis chewed on that. 140 and the tack. 120, and the tack, and you tell anyone who comes asking that you did not see us. Orvis looked at the horizon. He looked at Cole. He looked at Nara, who was looking at the mare like she was reading something written on its skin. 120 and the tack, Orvis said, and I did not see you. Cole counted out the money. Nara was already saddling the mare, working fast with an economy of movement that wasted nothing. The mare accepted her without fuss. They were back on the road west in under 10 minutes. Nara rode the mare up alongside Dutch, and Cole looked over and saw that she sat the new horse like she had ridden her 1,000 times. Her face was forward, reading the land ahead. "She is good," Nara said about the mare. "She looked at you like you were made of something she trusted," Cole said. Nara glanced over. It was the closest thing to a surprised expression he had seen on her face. "Horses, no," she said. 7 miles west, on the flat stretch before the land broke into the red rock country above the Verde, Cole heard the riders behind them for the first time. Not close yet, but there. He did not turn around. Nara did not turn around. They both rode faster. 4 riders. That was how many came over the low rise behind them when Cole finally looked. They were spaced wide, which meant someone had taught them not to bunch up, which meant they had done this kind of riding before. The one in the lead was on a black horse and rode with the kind of forward lean that means the man behind it wants to arrive. Cole pulled Dutch up and turned him sideways to the road. Nara pulled the mare up beside him. "We run or we hold?" she asked. Cole looked at the terrain ahead. Another 2 miles of flat ground, then the red rock country, broken land, gullies, a dozen places to move through where 4 horses could not stay spread wide. The flat ground was the problem. "We hold to the break," he said. 2 miles. Then we run and they cannot come at us in a line anymore." "And if they have rifles?" "They would have rifles," Cole knew that. "Ride low," he said. She looked at him one more time, and he looked back, and something moved between them that was not words. Then she bent low over the mare's neck, and the mare launched, and Dutch was right beside her, and they ran. The riders behind them shouted. Cole heard a shot. It went somewhere harmless. He kept his body low and forward and watched the broken red rock country coming up and pushed Dutch to stay even with the mare, which required pushing because the mare was fast. She was very fast. One more shot behind them, and then they hit the break in the terrain, and the ground tilted and buckled and split into channels, and there was no straight line anymore, and Cole took them left into a long, shallow gully that curved back north and then swung west again. The riders behind them would have to slow. They would have to pick a path. They could not come 4 wide anymore. Cole came up out of the gully onto a shelf of red rock and pulled Dutch up hard and listened. The riders had split, 2 going north, 2 staying south. Smart. They were trying to bracket the terrain. Nara was beside him on the shelf. She was reading the land the way Cole had been watching her read things since yesterday. that flat, focused attention that missed nothing. "There," she said, pointing northwest. "A narrow cut between two rock faces, wide enough for one horse." "Where does it go?" Cole asked. "To the Verd, 3 miles. You know this country." "I was born 20 miles from here," she said. Cole looked at the cut, then at the sky. It was past noon. The sun was behind them. "They will expect us to run for it," he said. "Yes. So we don't." She turned to look at him. "We let the 2 Southern riders come up," Cole said. "They come up the shelf and we're here, 2 against 2 on even ground. Better odds than running 3 miles through a cut with the 2 Northern riders angling to meet us at the other end." Nara thought about this for less than 5 seconds. "The one on the black horse is dangerous," she said. "He is the one from the ranch. The others follow him." "Which way did he go?" "South," she said. Cole checked his Colt. 6 rounds. He thought about the 2 men coming up from the south and the black horse and the man on it who wanted to bring Nara back to a rancher north of Florence, and he felt something that was not quite anger and not quite anything else he had a name for, a hard, flat thing that sat in his chest and steadied his hands. "Stay back," he told her. "Behind that rock, you shoot if it goes wrong." "It will not go wrong," Nara said, and she said it with a certainty that was not wishful thinking. It was something she had decided. She moved behind the rock. Cole sat on Dutch in the open on the shelf of red stone and waited. He did not wait long. The first rider came up over the edge of the shelf with his rifle already raised, which was a mistake because raising a rifle means you have decided what you are going to do before you have seen what is in front of you. Cole put a round past his ear, so close the man felt the wind of it, and the horse went sideways, and the rider dropped the rifle and grabbed for the saddle horn. The second rider pulled up 10 feet back and held both hands out at his sides, which was the right thing to do. Cole kept his Colt level. "Where is the man on the black horse?" Cole asked. The first rider was still fighting his spooked horse and not talking. The second rider, a young man with a sunburned face and no particular meanness in his eyes, said, "He went north." "To cut off the pass?" "Yes, sir." Cole looked at the young man. "Who hired you?" "Mr. Dover, from the rancho above Florence." "Dover sent 4 men after 1 woman." The young man said nothing, which was an answer of its own. "Ride back to Dover," Cole said. "Tell him she is gone. Tell him you looked 3 days and found nothing. You got turned around in the rock country and lost the trail." Cole paused. "Can you do that?" The young man looked at the first rider, who had finally gotten his horse quiet and was breathing hard and looking at the rifle on the ground like he was calculating whether to reach for it. "Don't," Cole said to the first rider. The first rider left the rifle. "We can do that," the young man said. "The other man on the black horse," Cole said. "How dangerous is he?" The young man paused. "He's not working for Dover. Dover hired 3 of us. The 4th man, the one on the black, he showed up at the rancho 2 days ago, said he knew where she had gone. Dover let him ride along." Cole felt the hairs on his arm stand up. "Who is he?" "I don't know his name, but he is not a rancher's hand. He moves wrong for that." Cole lowered the Colt slowly. "Leave the rifles," he said. "Both of you, leave them on the rock and ride south." They left the rifles and rode south without looking back. Cole turned Dutch and went for the cut in the rock at a gallop. Nara was already at the entrance to the narrow pass. The mare pointed west, and when Cole came up fast she did not ask what happened with the 2 riders. She saw his face. "The 4th man," Cole said. "Who is he to you?" Something moved in her expression, a small thing contained immediately. "My husband's brother," she said. Cole waited. "My husband died 2 years ago. His brother believes I should have stayed with his family. He does not accept that I left." 2 years of being followed. That was what was in her voice, the weight of 2 years pressed into 4 words. "He is in the cut ahead," Cole said. "I know," she said. "Nara." "I know," she said again, and she rode into the narrow pass before he could stop her. Cole went in after her with his Colt up, and his eyes moving through the shadows of the rock walls. The cut was 50 yards long, and the walls were close enough that he could have touched both sides from Dutch's back. The floor was loose shale that clicked under the horse's hooves and echoed. Nara rode ahead of him, upright now, not low, the rope coiled on her saddle horn. At the midpoint of the cut, a man came out of a notch in the left wall on foot. He was lean, somewhere near 40, with the same dark eyes as Nara but nothing of her stillness in them. He had a revolver at his side. He spoke in Apache. Nara answered in Apache. Cole understood none of it, but he understood what was in the man's voice, a low burning thing that had been feeding on itself for a long time. The man's eyes came to Cole. In English he said, "She is mine to bring home." "She is not yours," Cole said. "Who are you to say this?" Cole thought about that for a single second. A man she saved from 3 riders 2 days ago. That is enough. The man looked at Nara again and said something short and sharp in Apache. Nara's face did not change. She uncoiled her rope with one slow movement, not threatening, just holding it, and said something back. Whatever she said, it landed on the man like a stone dropped in still water. He stood very still. Then he put the revolver in his holster. He said one more thing to Nara, quiet, and it did not sound like defeat. It sounded like a door closing on something that had been open too long. He walked back through the notch in the wall and was gone. Cole waited. The shale was quiet. "What did you say to him?" Cole asked. "That my husband would not recognize the man his brother has become," Nara said, "and that he knows this." They rode the rest of the cut in silence and came out the other end into open air, and the Verd River was below them in the valley, green and moving, the first green thing Cole had seen in 3 days. Nara stopped the mare at the edge of the drop and looked down at it for a moment. "The camp is a mile south along the river," she said. "I know," Cole said. She looked at him. "I will see you to the camp," he said. "Then I ride for Prescott." Nara looked at the river again. Then she said, "What you said to that man, that you were a man I saved. It was true. You could have said other things, easier things, things that would have given you more standing." Cole thought about the other things he could have said. Lawman, hired gun, man with a paper that gives me authority. None of them felt right. The true thing felt like enough, he said. They rode down to the Verd together. The Apache camp was a modest thing, a scattering of structures along the riverbank, smoke from a central fire, children running between the trees. When Nara came in on the dark mare, there were people who came out to meet her, and there was a reunion in that meeting that Cole watched from a respectful distance. An older woman who held Nara's face in both hands and said something low and fierce. Nara looked back at Cole once. He touched the brim of his hat. She turned back to the old woman. Cole watered Dutch at the river and let the horse rest, and then he turned north toward the Prescott Road and the $300 in his saddlebags and the job he had been paid to finish. He did not look back, not because he did not want to, but because there are things you let be what they were without reaching back for them, and this was one of those things. A woman had saved his life with a rope and good timing. He had helped her travel 40-some miles through bad country. They had come out even, which in Cole's experience was the best you could hope for. Dutch's hooves found the road north and settled into a steady walk, and the Verd Valley fell behind them, and ahead of them the Arizona desert opened wide and flat and burning into the long afternoon. Somewhere in the rock country behind him, a man on a black horse was riding back toward Florence with a closed door in his chest. Somewhere in the camp by the river, Nara was home. Cole rode on.